Through the mists comes forth RPGaDay! In the year 2021, RPGaDay comes back for its 8th year. A time in August when every day we tackle another question or topic by answering in a way that uplifts the gaming community and answers questions people might have about this crazy hobby of ours that serves to build the community and bring it up, that many of us make blogs about, video blogs, art, or great works. In celebration of the community of gamers, I welcome you to RPGaDay 2021. Hello one and all, I am Rob, or Omnisci, or the Dungeon Tutor, depending on where you find me. Today we've got another RPGaDay topic. This is the 6th for the 6th of August. And the word for today is flavor. Now, as a game master, oftentimes your role is to build the world up around your players so that you can let them know what their characters are experiencing. This helps them to interact with the environment and to kind of put themselves in the place of their characters. To do that, typically you want to engage the senses of the character because, let's face it, the players can't see or smell or touch what their characters can. It's in their mind, unless you come up with some pretty clever props. But here's the thought. Out of all of the different senses, sight is the most often engaged because that's what most people use to determine threats, to determine clues to things, is what they can see, what they can observe. Sometimes their hearing is engaged, and what they can hear that might betray something coming or allow them to find a useful clue or bit of information. Their sense of hearing often can be engaged for that. Their sense of touch generally isn't as engaged as often, but some game masters are particularly gifted at telling people about their characters feeling all tingly, or a rush of warmth, or a jag of pain that goes through them. And that can really serve to be a visceral reminder that, their characters are living, breathing people in a world. Smells, I've often found to be one of the least used senses because we humans don't really rely on scent nearly as much as our, the animals we share the world with. And that can sometimes be unfortunate because adventurers can go into some pretty smelly places. And hitting home that as you go from the reeking corridor, you enter into a room and are almost overcome with the stench of refuse and offal and rot and death. Think how much more gripping that is rather than you walk into another room, it smells bad in here, and yeah. You can certainly have scent leap to the fore, but flavor, so often tied with scent, how often does that come up? Now, admittedly, we aren't like snakes who use the sense of the receptors on their tongue to smell the air, to taste the air, and get clues as to what's going on in their environment. We do enjoy using our sense of taste, most of us, when we eat good food or drink something tasty. We enjoy that. It invokes pleasure, certainly. But it unfortunately gets all but forgotten, except for times when the characters are, say, eating something at something you want to make memorable or enjoyable. For example, a meal at a tavern after a long bit of adventuring, you might go into a little bit of description saying, wow, this partridge is particular, the skin is perfectly crispy, the entire bird has been seasoned with excellent herbs that give it a savory flavor that just makes your mouth water. You can really kind of go on with that. And sometimes we do that. But there are other things that you can do. Preemptively. For instance, I really do remember one thing that pops strongly in my head when I think about flavor is when we were way back in the day, back when I was in college, I had a game master who, before the game started, he took the entire list of potions and he gave each potion a color and a flavor. So that when you first found a potion, you would experiment to find out what it is. After that, you could look at it and have a pretty good clue of what it was, although sometimes potions could be made to copy more popular potions. Poisons could be pretty nasty that way. But you could sample a potion by getting a taste for it, and then you would know also a clue as to what was in it, especially if the bottle was opaque. So since you were just sampling a little bit, enough so that you didn't damage the general magical effect of the potion, you were taking a little risk that it might be poison, but you were going to be able to identify once you had some experience in the more common potions. And he had a nice range of things that roughly related mostly to food. So for example, the healing potions were green but tasted of blueberry. I seem to remember potions of heroism being clear, sparkling iridescently with a flavor of butterscotch. And it just on and on and on. So that we could ourselves come to grips with that world and project ourselves by using a rare sense and in those kind of games, and that is by taste. And he also did, from time to time when we were drinking a potion, because again, drinking a potion can be just like using an ability, it's just something you do, he could remind us that, yeah, you drink down this healing potion, your mouth is filled with the flavor of blueberries and a warming sensation radiates out, reaching out to the damaged part of your body as you feel it mending. And then you associate blueberry with healing. See? And draw yourself kind of into this world. Now, me personally, I believe that every herbalist has their own methodology to making healing potions. It's part of the whole, it's kind of magic in its own way, of a lore-based magic. So I don't have one single recipe that is a healing potion, so they all are going to taste the same. But I do have some tells for things that are not common potions. And sometimes flavor can be one of those ways that you draw your players a little bit more into the game and really make them feel like they're characters for just a little bit. Of course, I also enjoy describing the foods that they eat and things, so that, again, for especially important things like a big banquet, or I try to tie in flavors that they're familiar with and add a little bit of twist to add that fantasy element into it. I find that it works pretty well, as the players sometimes can get their mouths watering for what their characters are going to experience. But it's definitely something that a game master might think about using, this very underused sense to bring your players into the world more fully. So that's my thought. Hopefully these little ideas come to you and you can build off of them in your own world and make your own world a little bit more rich for your players. Or if you're a player, think about ways that your character might really want to explore the world through their sense of taste. Maybe they become a gourmand and wish to find exotic foods. Maybe, we're going to throw this out there, maybe different peoples have their own unique foods or spices or flavors. Maybe halflings have all the knowledges of all the best savory herbs and the like. Maybe orcs have become the masters of grilling meat, and they can make jerkies out of anything and make meat that decays very slowly and retains a robustness long after it's left fire. Or maybe they know some meats that actually are safe to eat raw and are better for it. Sure. Maybe you're going to say that some of the best vegetables are raised in arboreal gardens by the elves. Or that the dwarves are masters of brewing, but they also have their own underground plants that have adapted to be grown in the caverns underground, along with other edible foods like, say, mushrooms or different fungi or mosses that can be used to flavor their foods. Maybe you can use that to make the different peoples of your world a little bit more rich, a little bit more detailed. These are ideas that I've had that we'll go on into further on in other topics or other videos. But it's a start, and hopefully you find something of use. So thank you very much for joining me. I'm Rob, or Omnisci, or the Dungeon Tutor, wherever you find me. But thanks for joining me. Until next time, roll some dice, play some games, have some fun, but stay safe. Thank you, and farewell.